Hi, I'm Andrew Bacon with Field Treasure Designs. One of the questions I get all the time is how do I tear down a pallet? When I first started, I used a hammer and a crowbar, and it took me about 10 times as long as it does now with this new method. So let me take a minute and show you how I tear down a pallet. First things first, safety glasses. Put them on first so I don't forget. The biggest item are your gloves. Just kidding. I'm gonna go ahead and put my gloves on though. I like to use gloves when I tear down pallets. Just protect your hands, help you handle it a little bit better, and that'd be great. The first item is, or your biggest tool, is a reciprocating saw. This is what you need to tear down a pallet. Now, obviously, a tool like this costs anywhere from about $70 to $200. I prefer the corded model. Do not get the battery model. It's nice to be able to go around and not have to plug anything in, but the battery will not last very long at all. I actually started with the battery model. Great dual power reciprocating saw, but it just wouldn't last, especially if you're tearing down a couple of these at one time. The batteries are just not going to last. And so I really, with all my power tools, I recommend a cord, just so that you always have power. Probably the only exception with that would be my drills, and I can talk about that another time. But this is a reciprocating saw, or a sawzall. The blade goes right here in the top. It's going to go back and forth really fast, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down. You can see right here, I'm going to go down and cut these nails right off. But before I can do that, I have to have the right blade. There's a lot of options for blades. Here's what I use. I like to use the Diablo metal cutting blades. You got to be careful when you look for reciprocating saw blades. Some of them are just for wood, or some of them are for demolition or for wood with nails in it. I like the the metal only blades. And so I actually use two different sizes. I have a small version right here. That's for the first phase. And then I actually have the longer version, and I'll explain the longer version why I do that in just a second. So let's get started here. I need to plug in, and then we'll be good to go, and we'll tear down this pallet. Okay, so we're ready to rock and roll, and man, tear down this pallet and then be able to start using it for some awesome stuff. So let me get the blade in. This particular one, I have to release the lever, or pull back the lever, slide the blade in, and then release it. Make sure it's nice and snug in there, and it's good. And then this is really simple. It's just a trigger, and you can hear it going. And so the way it's going to work is I'm going to stand on the side. Be careful with your cord. You never want to end up cutting your power cord. That will not be good at all. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start right here on the side. I'm going to let the pallet lean against my side here, just at an angle. This is a nice one. You can see it was standing up, and so it's a little bit easier to work with. Some of them are not as easy, but let it lean against your side, and then I'm going to stick it in just like that. My goal is to get it to be flush to where it's resting here and going all the way across. That's not always as easy to say, or to do, as to say, but we're going to try. So there you go. So that's the first board that's loose. You got to be careful. You can even see that I already did it. I actually started to cut into the slat, as I call these. So you want to back out, and you want to try to stay right in between, because what's happening is if you dig in here, that's still going to cut the board off, but it's going to waste a ton of energy and blade teeth by going into this wood. And so I'm usually not as concerned about keeping these as I am with these. And so, but either way, it doesn't matter if I cut these up, but I don't want to waste energy. And so I'm going to try to keep it right in between. If you can see that right there, right in between there. So let me hold it like this so you can kind of get a better look. So this is the second one. And really all you're doing is making sure that you're cutting the nail. And so you're not having to cut any wood. So you really don't have to work very hard. Let this do the work. And all you got to do is keep it wedged in there. And you can see that that's now loose, and that's good to go. So let me go ahead and take all these off, and then we'll show you what's next. Okay, so I've got the first side all done, and now I'm just going to go on the other side here and knock these bottom ones off from the exact same angle. I'm going to go across the board, just like this. Okay, so that's the first of 3 done. There's the slat, comes right off. Now this is totally savable. It's got great marks on it, but I actually don't use these very often, but if you want to, that's a perfect item to save and a piece of wood to save and use. So what I do now is I literally just flip the pallet over and I do the exact same thing on this side. Then I change blades and go down the middle, and I'll show you that in just a second. Let me go ahead and take this off and we'll go from there. Okay, there it is, gone, and only 1 left. Okay, so for this one, I'm gonna have to change the camera angle, kind of show you what I do, because I'm gonna lay it on the ground, change blades, and go from there. Okay, so I got a new camera angle, and we're on the ground, and hopefully this is a little easier to show you, and you'll be good to go after this. So, okay, so we're on the ground, and I've got my pallet on the ground. I've got both sides off. You can see we are so close. Now, the trick here is the blade change, okay? You can try to wedge the small blade. I think it's a 6-inch blade. You can try to wedge that in there, but this first one, if you can see this first one's gonna work fine, but then it's gonna get harder and harder to wedge in because these boards are in the middle. And so what I found is I buy the longer blade, switch it out, and this becomes way easier to do. So put the new blade in. Make sure it's nice and snug and not loose so it doesn't fly out. And the first one's pretty simple. You just stick it straight forward. You literally, the whole length of the board is covered. Look at that as that runs. So it's gonna get, excuse me, it's gonna get all those nails and it's gonna be great. There you go. So there's your first pallet board. That's a good one. And toss it over there in the pile. Now here's where the long blade really comes into play here. And it's really helpful because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go at an angle like that. And then I'm just going to wedge it down through, and it's going to be able to cut those nails. It's going to reach those nails, and it's going to be great. If I was using the smaller blade, it would not be going, it would be going about right there. See the difference there? This one stops here, that one goes all the way. So you want to use that longer blade every time when you're in this stage. So here we go. And there we go. Another pallet board, ready to rock. So let me clean these up, we'll flip it, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I've got the first side all done. I've only got 4 left. So all I'm gonna do is flip it. And I can literally do the exact same thing I just did. Sometimes the only thing you'll need to remember on the last stage here is that you might want to step on it to hold it down because it'll start to squirm and shake. Just be careful that you don't slam your blade into your foot or something like that. Or I usually like to go the other direction if I can do that. Now on this one, I want to point out, these are actually thicker boards or wider boards on the bottom, so they didn't come as easier as the skinnier ones on the first side. And so this is a great reason why the long blade is helpful. You can also come at another angle on this side as well. Just be careful that you don't cut your cord. And that's the last one. So there's that. Now you can see here, notice that big angle. I went all the way down in. I had to come back out. That was just a big waste of energy. I mean, it still accomplished it, but a huge waste of energy. And so that's why you want to keep it in between the board and the slat. That way you're just cutting those nails and you're making it as fast and as efficient as possible to get that pallet wood off so you can get that pallet wood and use it for awesome stuff. Well, hey, thanks for watching. I hope this was super helpful. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions, and we'll talk to you later.